So if we can hit, oh, perfect, there we are. So now we're all officially at the virtual table of ShoreLeave. So everyone.
All I have to say is, Michael, that's quite the bar.
Oh, hi, Cindy. How are you? Oh, it was so great to see everyone. Yeah, but kind of when I saw Dylan say, "Oh, I can't wait to see ShoreLeave, folks," I'm like, "Great, we definitely have one person
We
coming."
have.
There you go. You got one
ShoreLeave,
person.
folks. I'm not. That's not me.
Not me.
Probably Gregor, it looks like.
What's that?
Are you playing music, Gregor?
Yeah, I'll go into the other room.
You got good taste.
We needed some sort of intro, so I guess that works.
I can play our theme song.
Can you
hear?
actually very faintly?
Well,
No,
that's
it's not going, Jesse. It's not.
Well, you know.
No, we got some
tried.
lovely classical music that works. Yeah, we all need a little bit relaxation.
Right. So I was late. Who's all here? I see Eric.
Well, Eric is here, Cindy's here, Gregor's here, Michael and Dylan, and we actually have quite a. Gregor, you're in Scotland, right? So we have quite a geographical stretch.
Yeah, I'm in UK.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
So very nice. Cross Atlantic. So we were just discussing how this whole thing came about because, Jesse, you and I saw how this basically grew from literally a couple of people to, literally going, I was like, great, now it's like from 2:30 until 8 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to have Sid doing the presentation, and we're going to do this, and Larry's going to do the after party, which is very exciting. I kind of, when he said that, I'm like, oh, I'm getting the horrible, urge to go to Vegas. Because that's part of the experience when he's doing his trivia parties. Yeah, so, and we're talking about Sid City, which Dylan is telling us about the Discord channel, which I'm actually very interested because I'm trying to join this.
Yeah, let me relink that because you joined after I posted that.
I apologize.
I'm nothing to apologize for, man.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's a live hangout.
Windows 10 that needs to apologize.
Yeah, I tried to do a background of ShoreLeave, and as you can see, they're just a poster, because otherwise I'm
my poster's not showing up too good. I'm gonna play with it a little bit, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I started asking kind of like, how's everyone doing with whatever is happening right now? I mean, I'm stuck at home. I've been working straight for nearly 10 weeks now from my home office and missing conventions dreadfully because everything got postponed, canceled, moved on, etc.
Yeah, I've been working all the way through this, so, but it's not going out and seeing anyone. It's getting to you.
Yeah, I've been quite lucky. I've actually been going into the office every day still.
Oh, really?
So I'm one of the lucky ones. There's normally about 600 people in our office. We're down to about 70 in the office now.
Wow. So where do you work?
I work for the revenue service here in the UK.
Oh, I guess you have to go to work.
Yeah. We're busy sending out everyone's payments from the government at the moment. So
yeah, you're paying everybody.
Do the opposite of what we normally do.
So I suppose, let's see, today's June 14th. At this point, we would have been pretty much starting up on the usual convention season, actually. And we're basically kind of stuck just reminiscing about conventions at this point. So I don't know, what are your hopes, wishes? I mean, we all know that stuff got moved down, like Vegas got moved to December. Some of the stuff got just straight on canceled and just said, see you in 2021, hopefully. So I don't know, thoughts?
What are your thoughts on a December STLV? Because that's come up quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
So share.
I would love to go. I hope it happens, but I just can't see it happening in this COVID environment. It just seems cases are going up because we've jumped the gun, but I still have my ticket. I have a hotel reservation, but I think slim chances I'll actually
I've reserved a hotel, but like I've had to travel through this. So I've been in like all the worst states in the world, including my own. So I'm in Georgia, so we opened up early. And I survived that. I survived Wisconsin, Texas, and California. And well, I'm getting tested on Tuesday for California. We'll see how that went. But so far, so good.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
People are starting to post videos about people going back to Vegas, and it's just
I've seen that.
It's terrifying.
And no face
Yeah.
masks. So
It's very
Yeah.
depressing. So I had a layover in Vegas and I was going to go. And when you flew over, you could just tell that like I did not want to go. I would be depressed. So I didn't go in.
I'm very no, I shouldn't say surprised, because people as a whole very strange species. They finally lifted officially the stay-at-home order in New Jersey this week, and it literally I went shopping.
she's
I'm
gone.
like,
She
what
went.
happened? Because a lot of people took it as great. We don't have to wear the masks anymore.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that's what it means, and that's not how you really go through. Even if the pandemic would be, going down, which it's not, you just don't go like, oh, stay at home order, boom, take off the mask.
Well,
No.
it just shows you how much of a connected species we are, I guess, because like I was going crazy. I did not mind traveling at all as long as I could hug somebody at the end of the day. I was very happy. Sorry, Lord.
Virtual hugs for now. Virtual hugs. Please wear masks, everyone.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah.
I've been home since the cruise. I only go out to go grocery shopping and see my dad. That's the only human contact I have. And now that I'm in Ohio and restaurants are open, we don't cook. It's just him and I don't like to cook. He doesn't cook, so we don't do well. So we've been going out to restaurants, and they've been doing the every other booth and spacing and whatnot. But you get there, and 10% of the people are wearing face masks. It's just no one anywhere wants to wear them. It's just
very
sad.
intrusive. It makes me claustrophobic.
Well, I mean, but still, you have to do it. It's for the greater good, and all these excuses are just sad. It just come on.
I took a sleeping pill on the plane so I could keep it on the whole time, because otherwise I was not going to do it.
So
but Southwest is pretty good. Their like middle seats are empty, so your mask is.
If only they could keep that policy.
Yeah, if you're within 6 feet of somebody. So I luckily wasn't within range until the flight attendant came, and then.
Right. That was actually when you answered my question, because I was going to ask, like, how do they actually put something in between, or you just like, okay, I'm sitting here, empty spot, automatically? That's how.
As soon as you walk in, they tell you do not take a middle row unless you know the person next to you, and they haven't sold enough tickets on the plane so that every empty row would be empty. So. Yeah. Unless you're like a family of 3, I guess. And I don't know, I'm not that close to my family. I'd take a seat between them anyway. So.
Did they leave every other row empty, or was it every row filled?
No, every row was filled. It's just the middle seat. So
that just makes sense.
That's not enough. Yeah. I was looking at buying a plane ticket for Vegas because they're dirt cheap right now. And
£500 in the UK.
Wow,
yeah, that's really cheap. But it's just like I was looking at the seating, and it's like they were fully booking the plane. There was no blocking at all. It's like, we're only doing that through September.
No airline is doing it similarly. I flew on United, and United was completely booked up. You just had to have your mask on. No beverage service, no water. That was the whole trip. And but they did space how you got on. So they only let 10 people on at a time, so you're not standing in that line. Now, Southwest, while they have an empty middle seat, it's still the same. Like once you park, everybody's up and going, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get it right here.
This is rough.
Yep.
I don't know.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I'm good. I was afraid to jump in. I've never been on a podcast where I have my face on the screen, so I'm a little intimidated.
You can turn it off if it's too,
If
That's
you
all right.
feel
I got
more
a glass.
comfortable with camera,
I got a glass of courage for my on-screen time, so just.
Oh, I've got pomegranate juice because there's no alcohol allowed.
I'm going between that and my coffee just so I can stay awake. So.
So Marina, you were supposed to be in Texas this week for the Comic-Con, and so was I. I think you're in Texas, but
that's correct. My sister reminded me. She said, like, can you believe it? He's like, right around this time we would be taking a picture with Zachary Quinto and Carl Urban. And I went, that's right. It's middle of June. That's when we were supposed to be in San Antonio for Celebrity Fan Fest. And the whole thing, they were trying to rearrange certain things for this year, but apparently it's not easy with just the space in the it's not even the conference hall or convention center. It's like a giant expo complex. Literally gets taken up very quickly with a whole lot of other like rodeos and the car shows and everything else. So they finally said there is really literally no spot in the year where we can move it or even consider moving it. So you guys in 2021, and they very quickly, to my surprise, arranged all the refunding policies. And I think there was certain, depends on when you bought the ticket and how they rearranged it, but for the most part I bought the tickets and boom, the money showed up back on my credit cards, unfortunately.
Did Nichelle's con finally refund everybody?
I don't know, and I've been trying to find information, because for now the only thing that pops up when I do searches is that the date is to be announced and we hope it's going to happen, and it's so kind of generic and amorphous that I personally kind of feel I was never going in the begin with, because it was another event that I signed up for the same weekend. But now I kind of feel I'm like, I really want it to happen, because if anyone deserves a grand, you know, the last gala, if you will, it's certainly Nichelle. I mean, all her original series compatriots certainly got one. And sadly they're not with us anymore even. So in her case, definitely she I would really like to now go, even like once they figure out what the new date is going to be. But I heard talks, they're like, well, maybe they should just refund people, refund the tickets, but no news so far. Hopefully.
I was going to go to Germany and I hadn't bought the tickets yet, and then they told us, we have to stay home, and I got scared and didn't get tickets.
The destination that they moved from May to November? Yeah. No, yeah. I still have tickets for the London one. That's another one where it's like it's 50-50.
Yeah, I'm hoping the London one will go ahead, but I'm thinking it will.
But it's debated as a hospital at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, well, for now, Excel is still a Nightingale hospital, so...
Yeah. They're not. I don't think they're using it as the hospital anymore now.
Oh, they're not. Okay, last time they were still doing it. But it's the same. It's kind of the same situation as STLV right now. It's basically 50-50. It might happen or it might not happen.
Yeah, well, I'd say there's a couple of conventions in London in November now. But
have any public gatherings happened in London since this whole thing? Like we have a political conference coming up that I know about that I'd rather not talk about, but like I'm like, I haven't seen anything like big happen yet, so I'm just curious.
No, the only big thing is the political thing that's going on.
Yeah. It seems to be a common
We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So the one in London is supposed to be taking place on Thanksgiving Day, correct?
No, it's mid-November, I think. It's November.
Yeah, November the 9th, I think.
9th to 12th. Hold on. While we're talking, I can actually look it up. But yeah, it was middle November. It was actually perfect. I haven't even told my boss yet that I'm going, because I know for sure there wouldn't be a problem at that time. But now I kind of have to
judge.
Yeah, I kind of have to let them know, like, all my conventions this year that I'm not going to right now are getting squished at the end of the year. But I promise I won't take Christmas vacation off.
Yeah.
So how much time off do you get, Marina, for all these conventions? That's what I want to know.
Well, no, I have, let's see, I've been with my company long enough that I get 15 days a year for
there you go.
Yeah, that's it. Plus, I think there's something called a personal day, which is I think they have one, and 6 and 6 days. So yeah, there have been years where thankfully my health was strong enough that I actually used my sick days for some of my trips.
Well, hey, no offense, people, but I want to kind of hop around and see some of these other rooms, so I'm gonna see what I do. But
yeah, I better do that too. I'm being summoned to Stevie's thing. She has great artwork. Seriously, you should check her out. She's great. But you all rock on. Take care.
Be here.
Yes, it's great to see you.
See ya.
See ya.
Oh, the room is getting smaller. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm not able to talk to you guys. It's been, I live with my mother, and we watch Star Trek every single night. We watch Voyager, and then we watch Enterprise, because we don't want to go to bed early. And so with that, she'll let me watch it. She loves Chakotay. We both think he's hot. We're fighting over him. A 75-year-old woman wanting Chakotay, and then she goes, "Isn't he 65?" I'm like, Yeah. Well, he's way too old for you then.
Well,
Yeah.
he wasn't when he recorded, so that's all you have to
Yeah.
know.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I just looked it up. Destination London is 13th through 15th of November.
13th to the 15th.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So it's very close to the German one. So a couple of my friends who were planning to hit both of them because one was supposed to be in May originally are now still kind of in a sort of screwed situation because they can't do both.
I was supposed to go to 9 Comic-Cons in Las Vegas this year.
Wow.
And so all of them are gone except for the Germany and London and of course Las Vegas. And I'm like, all the money that I have saved, boy, I'm going to have a good time.
Have you been to Las Vegas before?
Yes, I went in 2018. That's where I met Marina and also Jesse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went last year to 2019, and I was looking forward to this year because I've liked all of the big names that they're bringing in for Voyager. Not only the usual cast, but Kramer. I forgot what his name is.
Kelsey.
Yeah.
Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
Fraser. Yeah.
Fraser.
And so I was so excited about being able to see all these big names because they're not getting any younger either. And we're, it seems like every month we're losing somebody from Star Trek, and it's starting to get depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Voyager is my favorite series of all time, and so I watch it all the time. So does Marina. Marina probably.
You guys watch it on H&I?
No, I just
no.
I have it on.
I first when they first announced H&I, I was like, do I have one? And I found it, but unfortunately, the way it's set up in my local area is that after a certain point, the channel switches off to something else, so it's no longer H&I, and it literally right after they're done. So they, how they do one episode of each series, one after another.
Yeah.
So they finish Deep Space Nine, and at that point it switches off to a different channel. So you never see the Voyager and the Enterprise.
That is very interesting.
That's just not fair. A.
That's not fair.
And B, I'm not gonna stand for that. So I prefer I have my DVDs, and thankfully every once in a while BBC America starts showing either Voyager or TNG. I'm like, perfect. At least it's on TV somewhere.
Yeah, because if we put the DVD in, it'll be 6, 7 o'clock in the morning that we turn it off finally, and my mom will say, well, you don't have to go to
can
work.
Be bad for you.
Yeah, but seeing that this was the big 25th anniversary, it was pretty thrilling. Considering they had 3 full cast reunions organized, which is pretty unprecedented. And of course, all the new stuff coming out, including this. This is a brand new pin. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I've got that one.
Yeah. So all the new merchandise coming out. So full coverage. And I'm like, and we're not seeing it because there are no conventions. I am hopeful for both November and December. I really hope so. My main concern, to be honest, is that suppose they do have DST, but the quarantine rules do not change or change in a very minor way, because right now if I were to go to London, I have to stick around for 2 weeks.
That's
the rule
another
with international travel.
Nobody's
I don't get that many days a year.
Yeah, I just got back from LA and I'm having to stay home without seeing people for 2 weeks just because I travel.
Are you required to do that, or is it you just self-quarantining because
it's highly suggested, my doctor says.
Okay.
So
well, that's a good thing then.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite hopeful of getting to Vegas, and I'd rather go to Vegas than London. I won't do both.
No.
But it really depends on the travel restrictions at the time. At the moment, you can't even fly from the UK to America, I don't think.
So
no.
What's the travel like right now? Because I haven't really checked into it. Is it? Are we restricting people from coming in and leaving?
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
because we do that on a normal day. So
my mother's family is from American Samoa and Hawaii, and they will not let them into the United States.
Wow.
And that's kind of depressing because we had an unfortunate death in the family that was not COVID, and no one from outside the United States, could go to the funeral. And so we had to bring cameras and do virtual funeral. And
I'm so sorry.
I was so scared to get on a plane, and it's in California because, California is a mixture of Hawaii and Samoa put together on the weather. And so I had to do a virtual funeral to where I had a person with a camera, and the person says, "What do you want me to show?" And I'm like, please show me the casket, and then, please show me who's speaking. And I wanted to see the program, that they printed out. And it was almost more depressing than losing the person,
Yeah.
Itself, because I was too afraid to get on the plane to go down there.
Well,
and
I had to broadcast my mom's memorial service for not that reason, of course, just because there were so many people who couldn't make it, and so it is depressing. It's one of the most depressing things. So I know.
We've got quite heavy restrictions here on the numbers that can attend a funeral. I think it's only a maximum of 10.
Yeah,
something like that.
Georgia has opened up churches again, I think next weekend. So we'll see, but we haven't had like even a religious gathering in the longest time. So we'll see how that goes. Oddly, the bar's open first.
We have Walmarts out here to where it's scheduled. They're saying, elderly people in the morning, and then those of us that are middle age at night, and in the middle you have all the other people go in. And I was shocked. I went into Walmart, everyone that was 40 to 50 years old was all in Walmart. And then I went in there, to get some medicine, and all of these young people are in the middle, and it says on the door that they wanted the middle-aged people, the kids to be in there.
Yeah.
And I felt out of place. I was like, okay, I'm the oldest person in this whole house.
Yeah, an age restriction doesn't seem right.
No, I mean, I get the...
Can't come in at this time. That's wrong.
I get the early morning for the older adults because my mom was early morning.
Say that it's 100 degrees in Texas.
Oh my God!
That is why they want the old people in the morning when it's in the 70s, and then at 5 o'clock here, it is 90 to 106 degrees. Yeah. And so that's why they put the age restrictions in there, so that those of us that are, I'm overweight and I get really sweaty, and you can't breathe out there. I either have to go in the morning or in the evening. So that's why you see the younger people in there in the middle of the days, because they can put up with standing outside on the line for a few minutes to get into Walmart.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow.
Jesse, question for you. Since you're in Georgia and the biggest event in Georgia is Dragon Con, what's news there? I mean, the convention is still on?
Yep. They were they canceled the parade. But the convention is still on, is what I heard. And folks that I know from Dragon Con think it might be canceled, but they're planning as if it's not. So
is that in September though?
Yeah, that's early September.
All right, so that'll be one to look out for if it happens. It gives them more an idea of the other conventions that have been.
Yeah. And I've got room. If anybody wants to come find a place to stay, you can stay here with my dogs.
We got to stay in the doghouse.
You do.
San Diego's Comic-Con was canceled, but I didn't hear about WonderCon. Was WonderCon canceled as well?
Yes. Pretty much. As a matter of fact, they were one of the first ones to move to next year.
Yeah, WonderCon was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was supposed to go to Comic-Con. I was excited. I finally got tickets. I've been trying for 5 years, and poof, gone.
Yeah. Oh, well, and you heard that the San Diego is going to do some sort of virtual experience type that is going to be free for all. And I certainly hope that they have the computer power behind it, because I'm sure it's going to be just as well, maybe not as many people as physically show up, but still it's going to be probably
it's going to be a lot more people show up. Virtual reality.
Yeah. I mean, I'm certainly going to try to get in if there's going to be something of interest. Yeah. So thank goodness for virtual experiences, but I can't wait. I am so waiting. I can't wait for the.
Yeah, I want to do the virtual hug. Here, everybody.
Wait. Somebody wants to join.
Hello. Hi. Yes. I'm actually, it's several of I know virtual tables, some of the folks that I know from either podcasts or various websites, I know the people who have a lot of cats. So I'm actually curious how the virtual tables are going. They must be having a lot of
I opened up
visitations.
I opened up the calendar just to see what we're missing, but
yeah, look what shirt I'm wearing.
Oh yay! Oh, you got one. Yes, perfect.
And I saw it. Remember, 2018, you were wearing it.
Yes.
And I said, "Where did you get the board kitty?" And you said online, and I went and bought it immediately.
Oh, cheers.
I have to have everything that you have. I mean, I'm ridiculous.
Oh, Marina's got
but that's it. When you go to the convention, you see a T-shirt. Wow, I like that.
Yes.
Need to get one now.
And you know, there've been some T-shirts that must have been custom made, because I'm like, that's a great T-shirt, and I could never find it.
Yeah.
Or it's something that literally what people are now saying, you know, oh, it's so vintage, and I'm like, when did '95 became vintage? You know, something that was released at the time of either, you know, when Deep Space Nine Voyager was still on the air. And that, you know, that's it. Those T-shirts are not around unless you really took very good care and you still have those 20-year-old, 25-year-old T-shirts. Yeah, but I have enough T-shirts. I'm trying to stay away. I'm still adding to it, but I have over 60 T-shirts at this point. It's getting ridiculous.
And when I was on the cruise, Garrett Wang was standing on the side, and I ran over to him and I said, "Have you figured out which T-shirts you're going to be selling in Las Vegas?" And he goes, "Cindy, I know you have all of my T-shirts, and I will make new T-shirts." And I was like, he's like, "I'm going to do a clock with 7 of 9 in there, and you put the clock thing on 7 and 9 and put of in the middle." It's like 7 of 9, and so we were thinking about T-shirts. And he's like, "Don't you have enough T-shirts?" And he actually names you by name. He says, "You and Marina have to have all these."
Well, you know what? I have to admit, I only have 2 of his. There was one that
Really?
he used to have that would actually glow in the dark, and that was the one of the Power of Delancey.
That was the one I don't have.
I mean, I don't either, but he promised that he's gonna look into it and possibly come up, because it's kind of the whole story behind this Power of Delancey just started up again recently. You know, when he told it during the cruise, and a lot of people are kind of really into it. Somebody created a group on Facebook that now has like several thousands of people. So it would be great if he made another T-shirt. I would add it to my collection.
Have you counted?
I told him, "Need help?" I says, "If you need any help making a T-shirt, I got some ideas." And he says, "Well, we'll get together, you know, when we go to this one, and we'll talk about it." And I know he was serious, because he said it blows his mind trying to figure out what to put on these T-shirts. And he's like, he knows what he wants, but he wants what we want so that we'll buy them.
Yes.
And he's like, "You're so enthusiastic about it. You want to help me make a T-shirt?" And I'm like, "If you're serious, I'm in." And he says, "Just start drawing." And I've been home now for how many weeks? And I haven't done one drawing. Have any of you seen any of his pods with Tom?
Yeah. I'm on Patreon. Delta Flyers, the new podcast.
Delta Flyers,
with Robbie.
They're hilarious.
Which is very funny, because it starts up when they trying to remember what the given episode was about. And I mean, obviously it's been so many years and decades where Robbie just goes, "You know what? I honestly don't remember anything." And then there's like a kind of like a small pause, which is they basically go and actually look at the episode. They watch it. And then they come back with their notes and stuff that actually popped back into their heads, what they remembered about the episode. So it's pretty fun. A lot of the stuff comes out that I'm like, "Oh yeah, great. I remember that story. They told it, you know, 10 years ago at a convention." And then the other stuff that literally they're like, "Yeah, I remember we did this." And, you know, nobody's ever heard whatever they're talking about. So it's a fun.
And Garrett is a hoot. You know, poor Tom doesn't have a moment to talk sometimes. And sorry for him. But he's actually kind of relieved, because he honestly doesn't remember most of the stuff that went on. Yeah.
So what other events did you have planned? Actually, everyone. I mean, I know, Jesse, you had other events planned as well through the year besides Vegas and possibly a
so I mean, I did I had a trip to Wisconsin planned, and I did do that. Just it was my teaser trip.
So it was not convention related.
No, not at all. That was just to visit friends from the cruise, actually. And I wanted to, we kept it just so I could see how the traveling is, because now I'm traveling for work again. But cons, I really, like, Vegas was the only other thing that I had on my calendar. I don't think I have, well, Dragon Con I wanted to go to this year because I didn't go last year. But I don't know, my con, I don't know, Marina, you haven't challenged me enough. My con going hasn't reached your level quite yet since the 50th.
Well, no, usually I don't have things planned out that far ahead, but this year, because it is 25th of Voyager, and it is a favorite series and everything, and I know Kate was supposed to be at like 12 different events through the year, which again is unprecedented. She usually doesn't do that many. So I was like, well, let me just plan it all out. So I had, we got the cruise miraculously enough.
The cruise was amazing, y'all. I just want to tell you.
Scary, amazing.
I just want to tell y'all that I cannot believe we like didn't get stopped at any of the ports. We had to be the last ship that like didn't get in trouble.
We literally were. We were either second to last or the very last.
Yeah, because the cruise afterwards got.
Yeah.
They got it.
They
the one that left.
3 days later, they had to go back to port, and 3 days later, and then there was the last ship that was allowed back in, and everyone else had to sit outside of in
the port.
They go into port to wait for 2 weeks to make sure no one was sick on the ship.
And there were
so lucky.
Yeah, there were some crew members that we've met over the years traveling that like have been on that ship until like literally just 2 weeks ago. They finally were able to, because you still have to keep the ship together, even though nobody's on it. You still have to maintain it. So
besides the cruise, that was that, and then it was basically a whole bunch of Comic-Cons that. Well, there was this Celebrity Fan Fest, which is basically a Comic-Con, and then there was the Wizard World's Philadelphia Comic-Con, and a lot of them were having like little Trek components to them, if you will. So they would have either a couple of actors coming up that would have Q&A panels, or they would even have like a whole, it's like small cast panels arranged, because like Celebrity Fan Fest, unprecedented, they were basically advertising it front and center on their website that this is the first time that a Texas convention would have originally it was 13 Trek actors, and then unfortunately LeVar canceled 12. So there was like 12. No other convention in Texas has ever had that many. And of course, now everything fell through. Who knows if they'll be able to arrange it for next year.
I was going to go to Calgary Fan Expo. I think that was...
That's a good convention.
When did they move it to? Hold on. It's usually, it's April. So they just moved it up to next year. They're not just not doing it this year. But that was my only other con. And after I got home, everything just kind of shut down. So what have you guys been doing to keep busy? Like, I know ShoreLeave is necessarily what you've been listening to.
I'm kind of surprised that we're actually that active. Yeah. It's just like a scene that we don't actually have conventions going on.
Well, apart from work, I've been cooking a lot, because I do like to cook, spending most of my time in the kitchen, and sort of started a sort of little podcast ourselves, myself and another crew member from the Starfleet chapter that we're members of. We put that one up on YouTube, so it's early days. We're only a couple of episodes into it, but
do you have a specific topic, or just general Star Trek discussion?
Well, the episode is called Spock the Week, which is a take, and Michael will recognise the programme Mock the Week from the. So it's got a little bit of structure to it, whereby we'll pick each pick an episode and how it relates to current events that are happening today, and that's sort of the first half, and then the second half is pretty much a free for all, and any topic can come up, and usually does. So yeah, we're quite enjoying that. I think if it hadn't, we've been talking about doing something like that for ages, because a couple of years ago I'd done a couple of episodes with Heller reviewing Discovery episodes, and I quite enjoyed it, and then so we've been speaking about it. I think if Isolation hadn't come along, I think it would have taken us longer to do it. But ironically, it gave us the nudge we needed to start.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah. It's given a lot of people more of a nudge being isolated than we would have done.
Yeah.
So are you guys listeners of ShoreLeave, or just, you just know us?
We know. Listen to it,
Oh, I'm so excited.
Because a lot of times we're like, well, we just spent an hour and a half just talking. Goodness knows if anyone.
So do you guys like what you hear? Do you like how crazy we go and off topic and don't really have an agenda?
Oh, yes. Yes, you guys are awesome. You're entertaining.
Hi, Julia.
Hello. There's a face to a name.
Yes. Oh, so good to have you on. Thank you for organizing, because we just talking about it. That it was amazing to see this whole thing just blow up over a matter of a couple of weeks.
Tell us how it's been organizing that.
Yes.
Yeah, it actually, the idea occurred to us a couple of weeks ago. I think it was like 2.5 weeks ago. We went, you know what, we want to do something. We want to do something to bring the community together. There are lots of stars on the internet, but the convention thing, the vendors room isn't happening. You know,
Yeah.
talking about, I miss my friends and I miss, and Jay and I realized like our first initial response as small business owners was, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We don't have conventions. But then what we realized was what we were really feeling was we were going to have something to actually sell at the convention. Like we were going to have people come talk to us. Because last year when we were there, they were on pre-sale. And so people were very kind. It was our first time we'd ever met anyone in the community. And people were so welcoming to us. And we were so looking forward to just being there and being like, hey guys, we did it. And they're here. And so it was that kind of light bulb that like what we were actually missing was the chance to talk to people and to say, hey, you're believing in us. And it was so wonderful to talk to you last year and look, we're back this year. And other people were missing that too. So we were like, we have a website. We could put meetings on it and see if anything might work. And Jay and I were going to the Sid City Social Club and we were talking to Sid and we were just like, hey, you inspired us and we're doing this thing. And it was like a week and a half later, Mel emailed and she was like, I don't know if you realized when he was talking to you and he said he could get behind it, what he actually meant was like, can I come?
Oh, has anyone else? I mean, I know Dylan talked about it extensively before we started, but anyone else went to any of the City Social Club meetings? Because they're great fun.
No.
It's heartening to see how much Sid is he's so incredibly kind and he's so interested in leading the conversation.
The times for Sid City aren't great here in the UK.
It's fantastic.
Cheryl,
it just fits
look
perfectly
at her.
the way the whole thing.
My dog says hi.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, hi. Hello, puppy. Mine is asleep.
So this is what I love about Star Trek. I know everybody on this screen, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
All right. Sorry. I got distracted with Cheryl.
No, I'm just sorry. I busted in the middle of a conversation. I usually do.
Oh, we love it.
So going back to Sid, like I said, it's a perfect fit for him to do this because he's been so much into the organizing this live chats with fans just because, because Star Trek, I suppose.
Well, and it was really like the way it was phrased. He was like, hey, he would love to be a part of it, but if it's like not that kind of con because it's about community, that's cool too. And we were like, that it is, if we want it to be about community, we don't want to schedule something that's going to take away from everybody else's time to chat with people. So that was kind of like the first, let's look at adding something to the schedule. And so then while we were in the middle of kind of working out the details on that, because that was we didn't have enough confirmation for a little while to feel like we should announce anything. We wanted to get everything ironed out. And then Allie was like, well, can I do a panel? And we went, yeah, absolutely. Let's add that in. And we found out that Keith plays music in the Sid City Social Club. And we went, you know what? You come along too. We want to hear you play. Let's do that. Because he was talking about that he normally plays at conventions. And since those have gone away, he doesn't really, have a place to play. And we were like, well, we do, come play with us. And so it just kind of kept growing and growing and growing until we finally had to go okay, it's big enough. We can't add anything else in.
Well, I will tell you that I did not know how much of my socializing happened at vendors tables. Really, that's where you meet your friends who like the same things you do. And you meet the people who are very creative and you buy because you can't do what they do. I mean, that is.
And then specifically those that are just so much part of the convention. I mean, can you really imagine Vegas and then you don't see Mickey or you don't see Lou and company or you don't see, they're always there. It's kind of it's almost a given. You're going to go to STL, you're going to check out fan set spins. It's just there. So, yeah. So, hi, Annie. I know you popped in, so we just all kind of just randomly waved.
Hello. Good to see you. Yes. My dog's just knocked my headset off, so,
Oh, good heavens. I hope you're all right, Jesse.
Well, there was a sandwich, and now there's not a sandwich, so.
It was a calculated move.
Oh, my, yes. Well, that was a sneak attack. That was a left flank attack. That was a sneak. I know that.
Cheryl, that picture that's behind you of Kirk and Spock, are they both signed?
Yes, everything on the wall is signed by both of them.
Oh, that is so awesome.
She's amazing.
That's incredible. Is that you got the autographs in person or was that just purchased?
No, hon. Unfortunately, no. The only one I have of Nimoy that I ever got in person was in the mid-'70s. of his record album. I did get.
Oh,
wow.
That's
That's
so
that's
unique.
over it. But no, these are ones that I purchased over the years.
What's the one on the top on your head? I know it's cursed, but I can't see it.
Okay, short time. Okay, hold on. I have. Wait, I got to see. I have the piece of the action.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
Yeah.
It's like a whole set.
City,
My goodness.
City on the Edge of Forever.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh my goodness.
All the way down there is Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Oh, wow.
That is extraordinary. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have
Well, when
Ninja
I-
Turtles. That's
that works.
correct.
too, dear.
Ninja
That
Turtles
works too.
still in box. I'm sure they'll be worth
There's
something in
pins for
20
women.
Whoa, very nice. There you go. There you go. Well, when I bought this house, my partner had already passed away, so I knew that I could pretty much decorate it as I saw fit. Not that he wasn't a Star Trek fan, but
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as you.
no, not as much as me. So I went, oh, look.
So for those that don't know, Cheryl is one of the few that is both my Star Trek The Cruise groupie and Star Trek Las Vegas groupie.
Hey, we have had very much fun in both venues.
Yeah, and some of the times I remember.
And some of the times I remember too, yes. And some of the times I don't remember.
How many Vegas conventions have you been to?
Excuse me?
When
Oh,
did you
God,
first go to Vegas Star Trek conventions?
When did you start?
Oh, this I've done 4 of the modern era.
Yeah.
So 16 on. I did some way back in the 90s and late 80s and stuff where you didn't have to pay for autographs. You just pay your $7.50 and walk in.
Yeah.
Homemade costumes.
And they didn't realize they could make money on this.
Well, it's always easy for me to tell because I went to
there-
my first convention when I was 40. That was my gift to myself. And the first convention
Yeah.
I went to was Star Trek Las Vegas. And so this would have been my 6th year if we would have had it.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Yeah.
if we're going to have one in December, if
Yeah.
If.
Yes,
whatever deity is listening, holy tribbles, whatever. You know,
Electronic tribbles that do things.
if it happens, it's going to be my 11th. And I kind of, at least I had, a full decade, straight 10 years. So I caught the last one in when it was still in Hilton. Well, when Hilton was
Wow.
Oh, what? You went to the 2008 one?
No,
the last Hilton one.
Yeah, 2010. 2010 was
Yeah,
the
the
last one.
2010, yeah.
Oh.
I went to the 2008 one.
Yeah.
So I just got the experience.
Yeah, I this is one of my biggest regrets that well, unfortunately, by the time that I could actually financially afford, well, not only financially, I could have the time off and could financially afford going to Vegas, the experience closed that same year. And I was so distraught that I was like, well, I'm not going. It's closing. Why am I going to go? So actually, I skipped the year. I went to one of the smaller creation events here locally in New Jersey, and then finally next year, I was like, this was
it Cherry Hill?
Fantastic. This was before they moved to Cherry Hill. It was still in Parsippany. And I loved it so much. I'm like, oh, I have to go to Vegas. I mean, this tiny one was so wonderful. How the bigger one must feel. And of course, and that's it. It gets addicting, and you become obsessed about it.
Oh yeah,
it's like eating peanuts. You can't stop.
Going and
Yeah, in 2007, I decided I'll go to the Vegas convention. When I got there, everyone says, "Oh, it's closing next month."
Yeah.
I didn't know the whole year that I planned to go.
So all I have, I mean,
Right time.
So at least there are some videos available that people kind of shot behind the scenes, and you're like, this is what Garrick's look like. This is when literally the space already closed. They were filming it illegally, basically. There is some stuff that from
A Star Trek fan would never film illegally.
Of course, there's their official videos when they were releasing new stuff. Like when Borg 4D came out and everything. That stuff you can see on the DVDs. And then I have like some random stuff, like Larry, when first time I met him. So it must have been either 2010 or 2011. He's stable. It's part of his ongoing process of trying to produce the Con of Wrath film about the famous 1982 failed convention. So he went when they basically pulled the interiors of the experience aside, and whatever like little things that were literally just throwing this stuff out. So he was going through garbage for all intents and purposes. Those little rivets, the stuff that was holding together the walls, that industrial Base 9, he pulled them out and he was like, these things, you're like, it's literally worth something only to the fans. So, you know, like, you wish to the, you know, Con of Wrath here, and you get one of the rivets as one of, you know, as a thing in thanks. So that's my only piece of the actual experience. One of these rivets, I have it on, you know, in my bookcase behind glass. And
oh my gosh.
I look at it, I'm like, look, it's a rivet from Deep Space Nine. At the same time, I'm very sad because I never got to actually go and experience it.
Oh
yeah,
how cool is that though?
Yeah. I missed Star Trek The Experience by like 1 year. I was so upset, and because it was like that was like my first trip to Vegas. I'm gonna stay at the Hilton, and then, you know, like when I could afford to go and I was having a good job, and I go to book the flight and they're like, no, they're not there anymore. I'm like, gosh darn it.
When I brought my sister for her very first STLV, we actually took a trip specifically on the monorail so she could at least see the sign, because the sign is still there.
Yeah,
and every year that I go, I try to find out, you know, have they done anything to the sign? Because once the sign is gone, then the experience is truly gone forever.
It's still, basically. If you go there. Now, when I last went, it was the LVH, not the Hilton.
They lost the franchise name.
Yeah. So, but if you go, there's still aspects of Star Trek The Experience there. You can tell from the doors. I'm like, I mean,
you got the Space Quest bar.
They haven't really done any remodeling. I mean,
the Space Quest bar is all still there.
My sister's first STLV was the 45th anniversary, and I told her, I'm like, you're starting big. I mean, the only thing that's gonna literally go over that is probably gonna be the 50th, which it was. But we specifically took her, so we checked out the sign, and I'm like, check this out. And so we went to like the bathrooms and everything because they haven't touched the interiors there. I'm like, this is what it looked like when the experience was here.
We went over in 2018 to check it out, and they're selling timeshares out of the promenade.
Yeah. So you're not allowed in there.
It's not even LVH or whatever the first name after the festival. It's now called Westgate, and that's basically
Westgate's really big.
No, they let us in and they tried to sell us a timeshare, but they let us they let us take photos of the promenade and watched us geek out.
Are you like, is it a shuttle pod, my timeshare? That's the only way I'm buying it.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, and then quarters on the habitation ring, please.
Yeah, so I have a question for Kayla, because I haven't been able to, like, obviously we can't hit the other tables, but how's it going? Because you're probably hopping around.
I am, yeah. I'm kind of working my way down the list, and I'm doing here. I probably need to head off and make are working. But most of the meetings I'm hopping into, I'm like interrupting conversations, and it's great because it means things are going on.
Oh, good. I don't feel so bad then.
The nature of the beast, like you pop in, and you know there you are. But we have been really overwhelmed with the positive response that we have gotten.
Well, that's wonderful.
Well, Marina knows that I have totally avoided this event just because it's so sad, because it means you can't see people in person. So as my first virtual event, I am very happy that you made me do this.
It's better than not seeing anybody at all.
Exactly. And it's you know, there's so many people who like I don't know how many people who have never been to a convention period who is actually taking part in this, but those virtual events that they've done through GalaxyCon or Wizard World or eCreation, you know, through Stage It, all of the ones I keep looking at like the chats, and there's a whole lot of people popping up saying like, this is my very first convention experience. So, like they've never been to an event, so for them that's a little bit of a taste of how it feels when you actually, you know, you get communicate with the fans and you get to see the guests, of course.
All you're missing right now is just the hugs, because that's what I miss, is the hugs.
I miss hanging out. Oh my goodness, can you remember? We would have had all the parties and everything in Vegas.
That's why I got the bears, so I can hug them.
I have my bears back in the back. No, I have not laid physical hands on another person in 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, sure.
I know.
I've been traveling. I'll just come see you. I put a mask on.
The last person I hugged was Nikki, going back from the cruise.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then I got home and went, what the my word?
Yeah. What world are we living in?
Wait, we hit a time warp, Jesse. I know we hit a time warp between Barbados and Grand Bahamas.
We did a little bit.
Yes,
a little
and we came to a different timeline. Exactly.
We
But
did.
we
All
do
right.
need to thank
Kaylee, we don't want
Kayla.
to
Thank you so
hold you up.
much.
Yes, thank you for stopping by.
Hey,
and,
here, this is for you.
Yes.
Yay. Can I take a screenshot with you guys?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
absolutely. All right.
Like at the convention, right? We take pictures.
Yes.
Wait, let me get my smile
Yes.
All right, get your smiles on.
on.
1, 2, 3. All right.
That is
Perfect.
exactly how you remember Michael in Vegas.
It is. That is it. Behind the bar with a drink.
Oh, it's empty.
Well, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
So
Thank you so much for getting us
Thank
together.
you, and thank you for
Appreciate it.
stopping
Right.
by.
Yeah.
All right. And
So-
now I must go make soup now. Believe it or not, I wanted
Just
to
put
just
it in
stop
a-
by and say hi to you guys. And
Just put it in a mail. That's all you have
Okay,
to
dear,
do.
we will. If you like.
Yeah, and, very quick, Cheryl, before you go, just very quick thing. What are your thoughts as far as Vegas? Are you thinking about December, or it's complete no-go this year?
I am going to probably give up my ticket in the next few days. I still have a hotel room booked at the Hilton.
Mhm.
I am not 100% certain I am not going to go. I am probably about 95% certain I'm not.
Mhm.
Only because I do not feel comfortable. I have a couple of
Yeah.
underlying health conditions. I'm 66 years old.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
You look really
So-
good. You look good.
Not according to the
Thank you.
cruise.
I'm
Well,
not
yeah,
that old,
that's
and I
good.
don't think it's going to be safe to go to it.
Yeah.
I just don't, I'm not comfortable traveling, I don't think, hon. So I really, unless things change dramatically in the next few months, I don't think I will make this one if it goes on. I just don't.
I will
I
send
feel
my
bad.
hug via the mail
Okay.
for you.
Okay, and give you guys hugs, and we will this will
Yes.
pass. We will get through this.
Yeah.
If Dr. McCoy was working on it, we'd have had a cure by now.
It'd been in a pill.
No doubt about it.
A pill.
A pill. Something with
Love you,
Tanya.
Yeah, it'd have been a pill, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you get a new
I'd ruin
kidney.
a kidney.
All right.
Too
Be
funny.
well.
All right. It's good to see you. Bye
It's
bye.
good to see you. Be well.
Yeah. Oh, Marie Cecile's
I have a
coming. Hi,
question
Marie
for,
Cecile. How are you?
I have a question for Michael. Michael,
Yeah.
when you went to your first Star Trek convention, how much was it? And were there separate tickets like there is now, the silver and gold?
Yeah, well,
was it
when
like?
I first went, I got the gold cut ticket because I thought, well, it was a one-off. And I think my flights was £800 at the time, and the convention, can't think how much that was, but in all it cost me about £2,000 with hotel.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
So I
But-
see a new
And,
face.
up and up and up. But now
Marie. New.
I've been going to conventions in the UK since '95, so I was quite used to it.
And did they make you stop in Chicago first, or did you take
No,
a
I flew
straight flight?
direct from the UK into Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Prefer to just get there rather than take a long flight.
Just sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
everyone.
well,
This is
I'm
Marie
there.
Cecile, and I know her through our Guac and Fries cruise get together that we have every Friday.
Oh,
So
this
everybody
is-
say hello,
This is the
Hello.
get-together I miss every single week. But
and
sorry.
you have to join us. Yes, because Jesse's also a cruise regular, Marie. So it's it's you got to join us. It's the funnest group to get together.
And Marina and Jesse, I was thinking about you guys yesterday because I do my weekly Trader Joe's run. And I was wearing one of my Star Trek t-shirts as usual. And I go into Trader Joe's, and they have a guy at the entrance now that lets you in because they're counting how many people go in and go out in order to let you in. And so I have my big Star Trek Universe t-shirt. I go in, the guy says hi, whatever. I do my shopping, I come out 30 minutes later. And as I'm walking out, it kind of stops me. That guy at the entrance stops me and is like, you know what? After you came in, there were another 2 Star Trek t-shirts that came in. You could have had a mention in there. And I look at him like, I thought it was so funny because doesn't know me from Adam, so he doesn't know my relationship with Star Trek. He doesn't know that I'm going to convention. He doesn't know that saying convention would kind of like hit a chord. And so I was just laughing my head off, because that was also at the same time that we had that chat going on, Marina, where
Yes.
The texts were coming like fast and furious with the entire group of Trekkies, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so weird.
Well, that's Star Trek. You never know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I miss the people. This thing is making me sad just because I see people. But not too sad. Like, I'm not going to cry on you. I've got dogs.
I have 5 cats.
Oh, wow.
And they're not trying to bother you because you're talking to somebody?
How come they've not jumped onto the keyboard in front?
Yeah, because mine have, they've calmed down since I started. Yeah. And
because
I was late.
It's 100 degrees. It's 100 degrees, and it's warm in the house because I'm too cheap to turn the air conditioning on. So they're all sleeping.
That's the way to keep them calm. As soon as it's time to
go to bed, forget about it.
Yeah, I just give mine Benadryl. They go to bed.
We were talking about Comic-Cons earlier. I was looking through my calendar. One of the Comic-Cons that I normally don't even plan it because it's local enough for me, even though it's huge, is New York Comic-Con, of course. And that one, they've been pretty much mum. By now, like right now, we're middle of June, they would be probably starting the pre-sales for people who are, if you're already gone several years in a row, you actually have a pre-sale for returning veterans, so to speak. And I haven't heard anything from them. So I'm sure that they're going to be probably changing their whole procedure, seeing that, they're one of the largest events in the world. Because, San Diego, as we know, is
done.
Done.
Virtual.
Yeah, well, I'm yet to. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they're gonna put out.
So do you?
I'm
sorry. What did you say, Mercedes? Sorry.
I would bet that New York is going to be going digital as well, virtual.
Yeah.
Hey, Marina, do you see we got a new viewer?
Oh, hey, Tyler. Hey, how's it going? Oh, we have quite a crowd. I did not expect that many people.
We can't hear you. You're talking to yourself.
Oh no.
He has his microphone shut off, and so does.
Can he?
Yeah. I'll write a sign. Say, Tyler, turn your video on.
Yeah, you're.
I'm writing it.
Yeah, you're.
Poor guy. Anyway.
No, but
he'll figure it out.
We had a wonderful time recording together that one episode where we were talking about, just generally lack of conventions.
Lack of conventions, that is what we call it. Yeah, it's been said.
Okay.
No, I wrote in the chat that his microphone appears to be off.
Poor guy. He'll
well, you know what? It's strange thing with technology. Like what?
There you are. Wait a minute. I hear you now.
Cool.
Perfect. How's it been?
Good. What about you?
Well, I'm awash in virtual events. I mean, Jess has been avoiding them like a plague for some reason, but I'm kind of like, it's just another weekend when I'm talking to random people.
I was on another Zoom meeting yesterday that went really well.
Yeah, Jesse came and hung out with me yesterday.
Yeah, it was fun.
I noticed he threw back a couple of glasses.
There he is. Hi.
Well,
maybe another one. Just one more, just in case.
You guys are doing the branding with the ShoreLeave posters in the background too.
Yeah, that was a last minute inspiration. Yes.
Yeah, and I must have gone through like 3 different versions of how to set this up, and one of them almost fell on my head. So I was like, you know what? It's okay. You can see behind my shoulder. It's good enough.
So when I lived in Oklahoma, I had that in my background, and it was perfect. And I just didn't think about it until this thing came up, and I went, oh, I've got to get that poster back. And then I thought Marina needs a poster. So we,
It was a last minute, but like it's the entire event. It just seems to be kind of got pulled together at the last moment.
Yes.
But the Fan Expo here in Texas was featuring Lord of the Rings, and it had all of the hobbits coming in. And I was so excited, and then they canceled it. Then they had Shaniqua and George coming.
Wow.
And I was like, that it would take place this weekend.
Well, just generally, this year was supposed to get some quite amazing conventions. Yeah.
Well, if I were George, I wouldn't go to any conventions.
Oh no.
Michelle shouldn't go to any conventions. And Walter should stay home too. So.
Yeah, and we recorded. Remember that thing that we did with Ryan and Larry, kind of trying to
I watched
guess
that.
how things are going to change. And realistically, I keep thinking about it. I'm like, this is we literally don't know anything. We can't even imagine.
I told my gang we're gonna put them all in a Pope mobile, like the Pope has.
Until there's a cure, it's hard to do anything normal.
Yeah.
And that's how they're gonna get around.
The digital stuff has been very interesting though, because it has allowed people who don't normally have access to the conventions to speak to people directly. And if you're looking at what Sid is doing with his Sid City, that's allowed people to have a one-on-one conversation that they would never have at convention. I'm hoping for the sake of the industry that having this time that we have with virtual connection is going to help us maybe improve the events going forward and bring new blood and try different formats. We need to be able to do it safely. And unfortunately, the big question is the economics of things, right? Because limiting the number of attendees does not work from an economical standpoint if you want to do something that is standalone, especially if you want it to be nice, because it's very, very costly, right? When you're looking at STLV, last year I know that people were complaining about the fact that there was less decoration and everything than usual, but you got to know that for hanging the banners, it is a union job to hang the banner in the hallway, and you're spending $200,000 basically just to hang the banners. So you need to ask yourself, if you want it to be a completely immersive experience that has a lot of decor and everything, it costs a lot of money. So you need all these thousands of attendees. Otherwise, it doesn't work. How are you paying the trips for all the actors and everything?
Well, that's the reason the cruise works, is because they do that whole immersion, and you do pay a pretty penny, I will say.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, hopefully we'll be able to have those live events in person again sooner rather than later.
So I have a question for Tyler. Tyler, have you had a podcast with Cam? Like, Tyler and Cam, my friend Tyler and Cam do a podcast. They're my buddies, and but usually you guys do it together. How are you dealing with it now?
Yeah, we've been doing it over Zoom for, I guess, the last 3 months, every single week. And I don't know, it's not as much fun because we often have guests come in and we'd record it all together in person, especially when Picard was airing, and we'd all watch the episodes together. And we had to stop doing guests for the last handful of episodes of Picard. And so the economy is opening up in the province I live in Canada. So hopefully we'll start doing it in person together again, but Cam he works in an industry where he's in constant contact with the public, whereas I've been working from home for like the last 3 months, so I can be safe, but who knows what his bubble is like right now. So there's a lot of question marks about how we want to do the remainder of the series, the podcast series going forward, but it looks like we're going to be continuing to do it over Zoom for the time being.
Well, I missed the YouTube videos.
Yeah, that's been a bummer. Like, I'm sure, like, we could figure out the logistics over Zoom about doing the YouTube videos, but a lot of it is just us, like, goofing around next to each other.
That's why I like them.
So, I don't know. But we'll have to adjust, That's what everybody's doing. So.
Yeah.
But to go back to something that Marie Cecile was talking about, I am curious to see how the live events will change, because we've now had all this experience with virtual stuff. Because it is quite impactful. I mean, everything I've been keeping track of all the events that have been happening, and it's like it's mushroomed. There's so much going on.
I think we were more prepared for a virtual connection than we thought.
Probably. I mean, considering how much track is online already and for how long, yeah, it's very natural. It's kind of like it happened, and it's like perfect. It's perfect soil.
I mean, nobody had to figure out how to start up Zoom or WebEx or Facebook messaging. I mean, we were ready. We didn't want to be ready because we want to hang out with our friends, but that's why I resist.
Yeah, but I do wonder how it's going to change. I was part of a Zoom meeting, well, kind of like a Zoom webinar, really, with Doug Jones. He did it was for charity appearance for Children's Hospital in Eastern Ontario. So it was one of the Canadian fan clubs who reached out to him if he wanted to help out. He did, and they raised a couple of $1,000s for the hospital. So it's incredibly nice. But it was a very small group. I think the maximum was about 50 people that could get into that particular Zoom. And literally, like you said, Marisa, it was unique. It's like you do not get that type of communication even during very small conventions, because literally this was like sitting in the room and chatting to him directly. And I was actually surprised that not that many people ask questions. I mean, you had you could raise a hand or beforehand say like, yes, I have a question for Doug, and then he literally chatted just directly, yes, screen to screen, but it was a direct communication for like 10 minutes, which is pretty much unprecedented.
So good. Like Doug Jones is one of the talents that actually engages, like even in person, right? He'll hug you, he'll talk to you.
But there is a limit to how much you can engage during a convention, because there's usually hundreds
17,000 people
lining up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's terrible because he's driving us crazy because he talks 10 people with each person. Like most of the talent will like 1 minute per person, and Doug is like hugging people 17 times and talking and talking and talking, and we see the line,
yeah,
you do. Yeah,
he's like,
you do like selfie. Yeah, you do selfies with him, and it's not going to be just like, okay, click, great, thank you, nice to meet you, I love you, onwards to the next one. No, he's like, and let's do this one, and let's do this pose, and he's going to hug you and hold your head. And it's wonderful. I love him to death.
I miss my Dougie huggy. I want my Dougie.
The Doug hug, yes.
I never got a Doug hug. Where was I?
God, you really missed out, Jess. You really missed out. Annie, we barely got to hear from you. So what's happening?
Yeah, you moved up in the screen, so you're next.
I have? Oh, that's so exciting. I'm really sad about not being able to see people. I wasn't working for a month and a half, but now my boss figured out how I could work from home, so I'm working again.
Oh, there you
until
go.
Funding runs out on July 1st.
Oh, no.
Hey, there could be more funding. I don't know, but it's been fun. Going a little stir crazy.
Yeah.
I have committed the Zoom faux pas once of having my cat put his butthole right in front of the camera. Which is why
that one.
Yeah, which is...
You should turn the heating up so they sleep.
None of them are in here now. None of them are in here now. None of them have tried to get in here yet, so they probably are asleep. It has gotten a little warmer here. I was hoping to go to New York Comic Con this year, but then my cousin scheduled her wedding that same weekend, which is exactly what happened last year with her sister. So thanks, guys. But I think it's going to go digital, because isn't the Javits Center still a hospital?
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think that it is technically a hospital, but I don't know how much they've been using it, because the hospital system has actually not been overwhelmed like they had prepared for. New York has been really, really, really good doing the right thing. But just because... I follow the Cuomo briefings almost on a daily basis, and I know he's being very, very cautious, and is going to be, I don't see how Comic-Con can go on the way it has the last few years. It's
absolutely not
the biggest Comic-Con.
Yeah.
It has actually more attendees now than SDCC. I think they are at 180,000 or something.
Yep.
Like
When was it scheduled for, New York Comic Con?
It's traditionally at the beginning of October.
It's like October 10th, 11th, 12th. Yeah, I'm about an hour and a half north of New York City. So we're under the same nice policies that feel like they're keeping us safer than a lot of other states, but far enough away that we don't see the worst of it.
Well, I had mentioned it earlier, but every state is handling everything very differently. So, because I've had to travel, I have seen from the worst to the best, and there's no continuity across the country. So just stay where you are.
Yes.
Don't go to Texas. I just tell you that.
Yeah, it's hot right now. It's 100 degrees.
So, Michael, what are you? Michael, I'm curious. Oh, sorry, Cindy. Michael, I'm curious. Like, you're usually traveling over the pond to see us. What are your thoughts?
I was booked to go to Vegas this year, which I was so looking forward to, and then the flights got cancelled, and I thought, well, that's it. But I wasn't expecting to go to Vegas when this all came out. The flights got cancelled, and then it's a couple of weeks later it got postponed to December, and I thought, I still don't think it's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, we can't fly now to across the pond. So I don't know when like Tyler's in the same boat. Like I got tickets. I got a hotel for December, but I'm not going to go unless everyone else goes. And I don't know if they'll let Tyler back in the country.
Like Jesse, like our group, like we had that conversation yesterday on Zoom, and everybody's like, well, if it's safe, we're willing to go. But I just don't understand how we'll be safe by December unless there's like a miracle cure or something like that emerges. So
well, there's a vaccine making its rounds over in the UK right now, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's not looking good for a vaccine at the moment. It's not, really not. Yeah, well, I think safety is the main thing. I mean, something drastic would have to change between now and December. Either a vaccine or we all go into a really hardcore lockdown like they did in New Zealand and get rid of it completely. You know,
well, people thought New Zealand was crazy, but they're very healthy right now, unlike the rest of the country, the world.
Yeah.
They're also like a very tiny population on like a small isolated landmass. Like I think they're kind of the exception more than any sort of rule.
Yeah, I've got a couple of friends from New Zealand, and they were like, you know, I just get to stay home. Like it was no big deal for them. Like they're just like, here it is, and that's what we're being told to do, and they do it. And it would be nice if we all did that. Do what we're
and in Samoa, where my mom's family is from, they have about 2,000 tourists a year. So they don't have any.
That's the income,
Yeah, with 3,000, and as soon as they heard about it, the government shut down all the ships and all the airplanes, and no one had it. So that's why they couldn't come to the United States to go to the funeral, because they were like, well, we have zero here. They won't let us back into Samoa.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of schools here in Georgia that they're really strict. So if you leave the school for any reason, like they kept the classes open, but like they wouldn't let anyone in or out. So if you went off campus, you can't come back. That's how they're doing school right now. So
the schools aren't back here. Certainly not in Scotland anyway. The schools are still closed.
Yeah, there's a college a couple hours up north that I went to when I was younger, and they won't let anyone in to campus, but if you leave campus, even like if you get sick and have to go to the doctor, you can't go back into campus. And somehow they are maintaining their class rosters and schedules, and I'm not sure how that all works, but I remember I didn't want to get stuck in campus when I was in college.
Yeah, but how do the teachers live on campus as well?
I'm sorry?
Do the teachers live on campus?
Yes. Yep.
All right.
All right. Marie Cecile is leaving, so it's so wonderful for you to stop by. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think I'm gonna pop off too. There's so many tables to visit.
Yes. We know.
It was good to see you,
Eddie.
We know we're the best table, but go ahead. Oh my. So
coming back to one of the things Marie said in terms of how people's expectations will change at a live event. Yeah. Because we've had all this direct contact with stars. I think it's difficult to have that on the main stage, but I've not been in Vegas for a couple of years, but the last time they were doing stuff on the CBS stage, and it's a tiny venue, the CBS stage, as you know, and Renee, I got into a conversation with Renee because he was doing a thing called Inside Trek, I think it was called, Rennie was great, and Robert Picardo was great. If you look for the events away from the main stage, you can actually get some real quality time with the big names.
I agree with that. As a matter of fact, over the last
smaller
years,
events are much better in that sense.
Yeah, and over the last couple of years, there was a very distinct that kind of move to the smaller, like the secondary stage and the CBS All Access, where you have the smaller crowds. Of course, now they started to put interesting talks on the smaller stages. Some of the crowds started to shift. Last year, when they had Dr. Aaron McDonald doing science panels at CBS All Access stage, there were so many people. You actually this kind of like intimate where you can actually have the direct chat. Started to disappear because people started to pulling. There was actually the crowd standing so big they were inside the Quarks side of that space. That's how many people were. So it kind of, I wonder if they can organize further smaller spaces, smaller rooms, so you can actually direct the crowd, kind of like you have.
It just makes you wonder.
Small discussion there. Then of course it kind of, problematic part of it is that they attempted to do that when they did. Not so much problematic because I think that was probably one of the best programming schedules I've ever seen. When they did Star Trek Mission New York, it was set up in this fashion when you actually had a main stage, and I think there were about 6 or 8 smaller rooms where you had other panels going on. It kind of turns very Comic-Con like when you have this plethora of events happening simultaneously. So there's like 4, 5, 6 panels at the time. And here, because it's all Star Trek, so it's within the franchise, it's not like a Comic-Con when it's anime and sci-fi and fantasy happening, and then you pick whatever it is your personal favorite. It was a lot like, oh my god, I want to be in 5 places at the same time. So it's like you can't find this perfect thing because eventually either stuff still gets too crowded or you start breaking it up and people are kind of I'm running between the different places because I want to hit all the different panels.
Crowded
Hi, Dr. Mohammed, how are you?
Hello.
Good to see you.
Well, we're so excited you're here. Okay, you can do the rest of the talking.
And how have you been? I saw you. Actually, I missed you yesterday because I was too late for the guac and fries.
I tend to be on at the very beginning and then I hop off. But there was nobody at my virtual table right now, so I was like, oh, I'll hop around and see what else.
Absolutely. And
I actually have one earbud that's my table and one earbud that's the other table, so I can hear if somebody hops in.
I didn't know you could do 2 tables.
Yeah, I did.
It's phone versus computer.
Ah,
so I'm seeing you on my phone, but my computer's sitting there.
Yeah.
That's why he's got that degree.
So does everyone know who Dr. Mohammed Noor is?
No.
Only because I saw him on the cruise.
Yes, he's a professor of biology at Duke, correct?
That's correct. Very good.
Yes, and he wrote a wonderful book about, basically biology of Star Trek. My apologies because I can't remember the exact title. And he's been a regular at Star Trek conventions now for several years, and he's also now one of the science consultants for Star Trek franchise. So.
We got like a celebrity.
An actual celebrity.
Come on.
And you this little series that you do, BioTrekkie Explains, I love it. I can't wait until the next one.
Thank you. That's what I was working on actually earlier today.
Really?
I'm timing it for when the Delta Flyers episode comes out about State of Flux. I'm going to time it so it comes out with that.
Yes.
There's a lot of biology and genetics specifically in that one about ancestry testing and things like that. I was like, oh, this would be a really good one. I'm trying to time them with that so that way there's already general interest in that particular episode too, as opposed to just like episode out of the blue, which is what I had been doing.
Because I was planning to actually ask you, how do you pick out the topic? Because you started out before they were on. Now you actually have to something to. Are you going to have like a special when they reach threshold? Because that's.
Actually, I already did that one. I did that one early.
Threshold. That's why he has a degree. Put that one away.
Oh my gosh.
My threshold.
Hey, I would totally adopt a salamander. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That episode is something.
Yeah. Well,
you guys all doing well?
We're doing. This has been a good. This is my first online event. Like really. Live. Like we did something earlier this week for Facebook, but like I told Marina, I'm avoiding, for some reason it just makes me sadder when you get in front of a computer and see all your friends, and so I don't want to do it. But she twisted my arm.
I found it incredibly supporting, actually. I look forward to our Fridays get together.
Oh my gosh,
I know I'm going to be talking to folks, and this is actually more socialization that I would normally even get on a regular week. So there are certainly a lot of pluses. I mean, there are minuses because I noticed that my eyesight actually started to go a little. I will need to get new glasses at some
I've noticed
point
that too.
this year.
So much time on the computer now. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I never knew
my work is already. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said never knew that your eyes could get tired as I have the past few months. And
oh my God,
you know, you wake up and you're on the computer and your phone the whole time. And I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So
no, my work is already very visual because I basically I work with technical drawings and I have to do budgets. So I'm basically sitting with spreadsheets staring into the screen the entire day. And once I'm done, I'm like, okay. And then so say it's a Friday. You know, sometimes there could be something that either Museum of Natural History is doing a live thing, so I'll listen to it because obviously I can't watch it as I'm doing a budget. But you know, 3 o'clock hits, I usually try to get into Sid's social club, and then of course there's Larry's nonfiction book club that he does every Friday as well, and then we have our guac and fries, and on, and it'll be like, okay, so I just literally had from 7 o'clock in the morning all the way deep into night. I mean, we usually get off at probably like 12, 1 a.m.
I'm
and
offline for that, but you guys are going.
And it's all in front of the computer. I mean, I wake up next morning, I'm like, I feel like I've been drinking because my eyes are just.
I usually wake up that way because I was drinking. But no, our group they've been getting together every Saturday and I haven't made it because I get that weird, I get sad, but yesterday I joined and it was a lot of fun. It's just,
it is.
I just never knew that you could really, I'm getting to the point where being online and seeing your friends' faces online actually isn't a sad thing. So I'm turning the corner, Marina. We may do more of this. We'll think about it.
I'm glad that I kind of started to check out what other people are doing early enough. So I kind of established it early enough. There are several folks who, it doesn't necessarily have to be a hangout. Like I enjoy, I'm sure we have probably people in common. I don't know if you've ever met Rob Chapman. He's also in UK. He does trivia games. That's the whole thing. The entire hangout for like an hour and a half, he creates a trivia game, and that's what folks do. So you don't have to like kind of sit together and commiserate that, oh my God, aren't we, isn't sad that we're all missing conventions. No, you just get on and and here's like 30, 40 questions and everybody's just chatting because every once in a while somebody's going to remember something interesting and we discuss a piece of trivia, and that's the whole thing is all about that. Destination, incidentally, their official page does very good trivia games. The guy's name is Dan. I met him at when we went to Destination back in 2018. They do really nice trivia games.
There's a lot more content out there, and a lot of the content doesn't cost what it used to, right? So like a lot of this online stuff was costing us quite a bit if we wanted to do it all. And now because of this, at least we have that. So we have that distraction, and I don't know how much it costs to put on the content, but like I'm happy that we can get it without too much of a price tag. Like this whole thing, this I'm sure in another life would have cost us money to join and sign up and whatnot. But I'm happy that we get to do it. I mean, like I said, of course I was late because that's just me, but
I find it inspiring that, our little, however little you can consider Star Trek community in general, but we have this thing and we just keep on going as if, everybody knows what's happening, but it's kind of, as we talked about it earlier, it just continues to grow, and now we're all online.
It just surprises me that we have people who listen to us, to be quite honest.
Well, that's a whole nother.
That's the thing on radio. You always think, who's listening?
I do. So we got our downloads like couple weeks ago, and I was just really shocked. I'm like, are they listening to it or just downloading it?
Maybe somebody accidentally clicked the button and it counted.
Yes, it could be.
No, but we did the Facebook Live. I thought that, I knew for a fact several people said, we're going to be on, participating. And then, Gregor disappeared. But then, no, I looked at and it's
hard for me to figure out how to get on.
Oh. What happened? Apologies.
What happened is I tried to get onto the Facebook one. Okay, when I graduated from high school, it was 1986, and when I graduated from college,
I gotta run.
In 2000,
all right, Hotmail. Good to see you.
I had to figure out how to get onto this. I had to go read the directions And so now I've got onto this. Now it's probably not going to be so scary. So now when you do ShoreLeave and you see me show up, jokingly in your mind, you're going, she read the directions.
Hi, May. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, there she is.
Yes.
Hi.
Oh my gosh.
Well, good to hear you. I was going to say.
Yeah. We're not.
How you
video
been?
isn't compulsory, so
Yeah.
thank you for grabbing. May's another one of my cruise and STLV fans. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Hi guys. I just popped in to see what you're doing here. Yeah.
We're just talking.
Just hanging out and chatting and reminiscing about conventions, basically.
Nice.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, May? What's keeping you busy?
I was on furlough for like 3 months, but I finally went back to work last week. So that's good. Yeah, I'm earning money again. So
Hey, that always helps pay for the conventions that you aren't going to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Are you signed up for the cruise again?
Oh yeah.
Great. I'll see you there.
Yeah.
Marina's not coming.
Well, no, we Olga and I actually discussed it during the cruise this year. What we decided, we're gonna skip it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Even with stuff that kind of right now is up in the air, having three pretty major events, between this DST and STLV in 1 year is quite a stretch.
Yeah.
So I'm actually quite happy that some of the conventions that I already had paid for, that they got canceled and refunded. I mean, at least I can breathe a little bit easier, because otherwise it was my credit cards hated me.
No, they love
so
you.
next year we were skipping from the get-go. But I was gonna say, it's very nice. I got the email when they said that they pausing the payments, the automatic payments for now, because obviously, they're all aware of the difficulties that people are experiencing, whether they, whichever cabin that they signed up for. That was very nice of ECP to do that.
Well, the whole industry, the cruise industry, is kind of
up in the air.
They have not really put out anything in terms of what their future is, right? So they stopped sailings through July, and then they may or may not start sailing again in August, depending on what it is. But it's going to be a completely different experience. Like, mass will be on the cruise, definitely, and the buffets are pretty much done with wherever you go. So it'll be interesting to see how that all works.
Yeah. There was something in the news, I think it was posted in one of the cruise groups, that whatever, like, the original plans for the major refurbishments and upgrades and everything, they're obviously they can't, because otherwise they will not be able to hit the dates next year for hopefully new sailings. So they're doing just interior renovations, or whatever the equivalent.
Maintenance, which means your 1980s phone is still going to be a 1980s phone in your cabin.
So I know those folks are probably hoping to, I don't know, new technologies, new whatever. That's sadly not happening.
Like the internet won't be high speed.
I suspect, yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So
they'll finally get telegraph.
The best thing about the cruise is, like, you can really shut off if you want to. So, like, the internet is horribly expensive, and I got it just because I had to do some work while I was on the cruise. But, like, it's hard to stay connected. It's expensive to stay connected.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to leave you guys. Mom yelled I had to eat lunch.
All right.
So I've got my lunch here.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
My lunch is in the dog's stomach right now, I believe. But
it's 9:30 in the UK.
Oh.
Well, we appreciate you staying up for us.
Thank
Although
you
I think
so
you're a
much.
night owl, aren't you, Michael?
The bottle
So,
helps.
Marina, tell us what Olga's been up to.
Well, she's actually visiting, and I said, do you want to, I don't know, poke in and wave from afar or do something? But
she needs to poke in. You tell her I said so. You go get up and tell her.
But generally, it's a lot of work, and she says, as far as the whole situation with the virus, things are not, those people like who thinking that the changes in the stay-at-home orders or anything else mean that things are subsiding. No, that's not the case at all.
So for folks who don't know, Olga is a
yeah, she's
doctor.
an emergency room doctor, yes. And of course, I mean, nobody canceled everything else that normally happens that she sees at the emergency room. So the heart attacks and broken bones, that happens regardless.
I've tried not to break a bone.
Please don't.
Tried really.
Yeah. So she's hard at work, and it's kind of nice that she's visiting for a couple of days, because then, I mean, there are sometimes weeks where she has just shifts one after another, and we don't get to, I mean, we just get to chat on the phone. That's basically.
Well, make sure to give her a hug for me.
Yeah, we'll
from
do.
a distance,
we'll do.
however
And,
you do.
And she's like yesterday we were having dinner together, and she said she's like, I'm so hopeful for December. So I'm like yeah, but let's be realistic. It's still 50-50.
Yeah. I mean, so when you holy crap,
that's a very large
supper.
All of this is from the garden.
Oh,
how nice. That's
tomatoes,
lovely.
bell peppers, and we're having fish tonight, so we're gonna have all fresh vegetables with dinner tonight.
Nice.
Lovely.
There's my mom.
Hey,
Say hi.
Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hi.
Hello, Mom.
Can you just stick that in the mail, Mom?
We'll do a virtual.
Yeah, there's a virtual vegetables. Oh, we're all very good. So yeah, what are the plans? I mean, as far as virtual stuff happening, I can kind of keep trying to keep track of the track things. I've been posting stuff, and I know folks were quite happy about it, because it's kind of starting to get a little bit difficult to keep track of when each of those virtual free Q&As that GalaxyCon, for instance, is doing. They're doing quite a lot. There's, I think, 4 different ones coming up in the next 3 weeks or so. So, Jesse, you better get on it, because there's a lot of fun stuff out there.
I'll think about it.
No, it's nice, because you know what? There was a couple of TNG panels, I think, that they did, at least the last one with Brant and Marina. And it was kind of nice, because the way we're talking is like, I can see that they're missing the conventions just as badly as we are. And it's so obvious the way.
Well, Marina's doing cameos for free now, I believe.
Really?
She's just, well, no, I just see her posting a lot more than I've seen her post before, her videos and whatnot.
Somebody got her to record a cameo for the Constellation 2020 group, which is hilarious, incidentally. If you're a convention regular, make sure to go to that Facebook group and join it, because it's basically, having fun at the expense of not having conventions this year.
Yeah.
And somebody recorded that the group blew up. There's over 30,000 people there right now.
Yeah,
so she recorded a very nice one, like, I will see you. I don't know when, but I will see you. Like,
well, I just, and it goes back to, who are we going to see when we get back? Because so many of the people we go to see are in that protected class. So,
Greg, are you back? Hi.
Hey, welcome back. But yeah.
The other rooms were boring, I take it.
But yeah, I mean, I look back at my photo ops and I'm like, all these people are going to be in their protected class. Like, they shouldn't be going anywhere. So Walter Koenig should not be going out. Michelle shouldn't be going out. William Shatner should stay home.
Here's something very curious. When they announced that the STLV got moved, the very first name they said, okay, and the confirmed guest is, the very first one was actually William Shatner.
Well,
like
there's never a convention he didn't want to go to.
No, but I'm feeling like he must have definitely reached the point where he can do, like, there's nothing left to prove.
Well, think how busy he always is
all the time. It's extraordinary. This sort of I admire the energy to be doing all of this stuff all the time, all these projects, all these ideas. He's actually going to be having the GalaxyCon panel by himself. I can't remember the date on top of my head right now, but I actually want to go and check it out, see if if he's going to be talking about what he's doing right now, because I mean, he's stuck as everybody else inside.
Oh, he's probably riding a horse somewhere.
I can't believe he's still riding horses at his age.
Yeah. What's that, Tyler?
Can't fly to the convention. At least he has some sort of travel over there.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Yeah.
Is he, like, where does he live? Does he live in Canada?
California.
No, he's in California.
Oh.
He's in California.
In California.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't pass his house, so. I did go to Vasquez Rocks though, which I wanted to go to.
Oh, please!
I haven't been there yet.
I would love to hear about that. So, how did you just decide last moment, or was that planned ahead? Like,
I had a business trip planned, and then I contacted my Vegas roommate and said, "Hey, are you going to be around?" And so he was around. So we got there, but like even the park hours are shut. So we got there like at 4:30, and the first thing the guy says is, "You got 30 minutes." So we ran up to the rocks, took some photos, and then were quickly escorted off the property.
Wow.
But it's bigger than I thought. You know, like I've been on those Larry Nemechek like desert cruise tours he does.
In Vegas.
Yes. Yeah.
I went on that. Death Valley.
And so, like, you know, anything I've seen is always just takes the mystery off of Hollywood, because like the bridge, not the bridge, where Kirk died, you know, that's
bridge.
like just a little thing on the floor. Like it's not a big bridge at all, you know, and we're, so all that. So when I went to Vasquez Rocks though, the cool thing was like I could tell where Rafi's house was. It wasn't there anymore. She moved, but it was nice to see. It was kind of cool to see where TV is made. So, but it does take the mystery away when you see it live. You know, I much rather think that she was there in my future house because that's where I wanted to live. But there were a lot of people there. California is a little stricter, so everybody had their mask on. And it's not as bad as a climb up to the top as I thought it would be. If I could do it, anybody could do it. So it was fun.
One of these days I'll make it out there, because I think I would really like to see that. I've been planning to do one of Larry's tours, and actually one year when Olga and I decided to sign up because we had nothing going on either a Monday or Tuesday of the week. And apparently that particular year, they didn't have enough people. So it would warrant, you know, hiring the shuttle or the bus, whatever that they use. And they decided not to do tours. And he actually hasn't had them for a couple of years, I think. So I'm kind of hoping that whenever things start up again, he will start doing the tours again.
Yep.
So if I have an opportunity to actually ask him when he's doing, I mean, he's doing his virtual table right now.
Yeah.
Once we can jump off and check out everybody else, you know, maybe I can ask.
If anybody wants to do anything, just let me know. I'm game for anything. Okay.
Okay.
The Grand Canyon in December, I will go with you.
Stuck.
Okay, my mother and 5 cats. Do I have to say any more? Okay. This house is big, but not that big.
So, Marina, so I remember that you always had to go into the city to work. So how has that change been from going into New York City every day to stuck in New Jersey?
I get to sleep a little bit longer. That certainly helps, because I don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do that.
Yeah.
Other stuff, I mean, generally, I'm not too comfortable working at home because it's home. You know, I don't have enough room to put all the paperwork around. It's not exactly, but I kind of, you know, I got used to it because I've been doing it since, well, let's see, we came back March 8th. So from March 9th onwards, I've been home all this time. The only time, same as Eric was talking about earlier, the only time I go out is just grocery shopping and maybe, you know, a small walk in the park, which more often than not is actually irritating and not calming and relaxing as you would think a park walk would be, because there were way too many cyclists and way too many people just walking way too close. Sadly. So yeah, so it's kind of, I get used to it. It's not particularly pleasant. I'm kind of sitting mostly, what's the word? I mean, I'm kind of hoping that the industry will start up doing something, because obviously construction has been affected by this whole thing. You have to redo the procedures for how you're going to have workers showing up at the construction sites, how you're going to have people walking, how you don't create chokeholds when people actually cannot use elevators or hoists when you're building a building. So we only, what I do is all paperwork. So we were part of the design stage of construction. We're not actually building anything. So obviously things are still happening design-wise. When it's actually going to happen construction-wise, I'm kind of afraid that, you know, with the whole with economy heading into depression, that something similar in 2009 will happen. So I'm kind of trying to keep positive, and then I'm hoping that it's not going to happen, but it certainly is a possibility.
Yeah.
So there's not, is there a lot of people still going through the tunnel to go back and forth into New York?
Not really. There's actually, last time I drove anywhere, I mean, I haven't been in New York since, I want to say very early April, when I had to go for a doctor's appointment. So I haven't been there, but just generally, even looking how the traffic is in New Jersey, I haven't been in actual traffic in all that time.
There was no traffic in LA when I got there. And
It's
the
almost,
airport, you would have just assumed you were like in a small midtown airport, because like there were like, I could count the number of people. So it was very bad. And here, I mean, I live in Atlanta, and I went to the city to go to the airport last week, and there was zero traffic. I got from my house to the airport in 20 minutes, which is unheard of. It usually takes an hour. And I got out of my car into security in 2.46 seconds. Minutes. 2.46 minutes I got through security. And that was regular security. I didn't even do TSA that time. So
yeah. It feels almost unreal. You kind of get on the road and start driving. The horrible thing about it, though, I noticed a lot of people are going way fast, because there's literally, you don't have normal.
They have that over here in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know the state's getting really creative with their road signs. So like our signs in Atlanta go, "Are you sick? Go home."
Well, straight to the point.
I'm like, okay.
This what we're going through right now reminds me, because I studied overseas for 3 summers in Europe. I was doing World War II history. And when I went over there, they had, when you're on the train, they had these military police with dogs, and had these machine guns, and they would go to check everybody's passport. And this was before 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And I was terrified. I'm like, what they have machine guns. I'd never seen anything like that before. And every time I, had to go from England to Paris, and then I went to Brussels, anywhere that World War II was taking place. Then 9/11 happened, and I went back over there, and I was so used to seeing what it was, but now I'm hearing everyone else going, there's machine guns, and they have German Shepherds. And now we're going through the COVID-19, and when I go places, now I see police everywhere. And I'm like, and they're carrying machine guns, and they've got their gear on for riot gear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, the transition that I've already gone through, having to go to Europe and seeing people in the riot gear and the machine guns and the German Shepherds, it's happening here. And I was like thinking to myself way back in 2000 when I was going is, oh, this will never happen in the United States. And here it is. And so I'm used to it, but it's traumatizing other people. I can see it because they're scared.
So I live right outside of the city in Atlanta. I live in Smyrna, and we've had the protests continue, because that's been a thing that's been happening. And thankfully, it's been calm, but I have seen a lot more of a police presence, and like ready for riot police presence, which is a little scary. So I think overseas I saw it more, and you kind of used to it overseas, but here, I'm not used to seeing like my police militarized, if you will. So it's kind of scary.
Yeah, when I was in London, the police military was all over the place, and in Paris too. And when I went to Germany, it was even worse. So.
Yeah, we were like, Marina, when we went to Birmingham, it wasn't, it was just like going to a convention. It wasn't crazy, was it?
No, it was actually very straightforward.
Yeah.
Going through all the security and everything was, I'm like, that, yeah. And it didn't take too long. I don't know, maybe I picked a nice time to arrive, because I was flying through the night. So I left, it was afternoon here, and I landed in very early morning in Dublin. And then there was I had a layover, and I was late morning, I was in Birmingham. And literally I walked out, they stamped my thing, I walked across the street into the center, and that was it. My convention day started. So it was a little bit, that part was not pleasant because I was up for 36 hours straight. But generally the whole thing going through the security in the airport and everything was pretty straightforward.
Well, for some reason, customs always scares me no matter where I'm going through customs. And so like they look at you, I feel like, oh my God, they're not going to let me back in the country.
Jesse, I know you cosplay, but actually, you know what, arriving with like I had literally had a single backpack with me for a 3-day convention. And it was, I had to weigh myself with and without it so I could figure out what the weight of this thing was, because it was a regional flight and I was limited only to 7 kilos, so about 15 pounds of whatever with me. So once they saw that that's the only thing I have, they were like, just go through.
Yeah.
Well, when I went to, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, I had to go to Dublin for work for 2 weeks. And I had the 2 big bags and a big carry-on. And again, I just get so scared of like the police for some reason, probably from my youth. We'll talk about that later. But the guy says, why do you have so much luggage? What are you going to do there? And I'm like, work and put on my clothes. I'm like, I don't know how the laundry works. And I kept talking and he's like, just get away here.
So I suppose that if London does take place, that the flight over there is going to be much easier than going to Birmingham.
Yeah, because from where I am, I have no direct flights. I mean, I think there was one, but it was just like literally one. So if anything happens, something canceled or anything, I'm out of luck.
But JFK didn't have direct flights?
I'm not nowhere near JFK. So for me
that's
to go
right.
to
You're
JFK,
near
that's
Newark,
like another, yeah.
right?
Newark, yeah. So
yeah, Newark.
The easiest way was to fly from Newark to Dublin and then from Dublin to Birmingham. There were other ways to do it. Like I was actually checking in with a couple of UK friends. So my first thought was actually to fly to London and then to take the train up to Birmingham. And it would have worked, but time-wise, I would be wasting more time actually traveling than just doing the quick layover in Dublin. So, I mean, I could have actually went, the weirdest one when I was doing the searches via like Expedia and Kayak and everything, they're like, you can fly to Munich and stay there for 10 hours. I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense.
Flying further to come
Yeah,
back.
because I had direct flights.
Yeah.
I had direct flights from Dallas to London, and then I decided de Gaulle, going to Paris to Brussels was much easier, so that I can get around easier because there's trains everywhere in those 3 airports, and to go to Waterloo. And so if I was going to London, I'm thinking, well, I don't want to stop in Chicago because that's what we had to do, to stop in Chicago, change flights, and then go over to London. So that's why I'm like, no, I'm not going to Scotland. That's way, the layover is going to be horrible.
I mean, the only thing with DST is that, my sister and I used to do, as an aside, used to do London trips. I mean, it was just exploring London, and then we started to do out of city trips all over the country. So if you're talking London, the touristy part of London, zones 1 and 2, it's very easy from the East Coast to there. But in this case, we're not technically in London, we're in Docklands. I mean, as far as we're talking about DST. So there's an additional like an hour, I think, by tube to go to actually get in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
30 minutes.
Yeah, I started already planning it, and then I stopped and I'm like, you know what? I am not probably doing anything. I mean, I have the hotel booked, and I think my sister was supposed to take care of the flight. So we might actually have DST fully booked, but we were literally up in the air waiting on what's going to happen, and then we'll see if cancellations happen or if we have to somehow work around whatever the quarantine rules are going to be.
I have a dumb question. Do we have to take, I took American Airlines way back in 2000. Do we have to take another airlines in order to get to London now, or do we still? I could just do American Airlines all the way through.
Whatever's flying. I used to fly British Airways all the time, and until they changed their scheduling for Eastern Seaboard, so now it's actually, last I looked, and like I said, my sister said that she's going to take
United.
United was going to be doing basically, and it's almost, I was looking like I recognize the times. I'm pretty sure it's the slot that British Airways used to have.
Yep. Yeah, United's pretty consistent going overseas, though they focus on Asia a lot. So, but they have quite a good service. But British Airways is the way to go. And then if you can get it, Aer Lingus is actually pretty good too.
Yeah, I enjoyed Aer Lingus. That's what I flew when I went to Birmingham. It was very nice.
Yeah, if we go to
well,
London,
hopefully we get everybody cured so that we can start traveling, because I'm not making very many friends sitting at the house.
It is a little lonely.
Yeah, Gregory started saying something.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
If we go to London, we'll just fly Edinburgh to London City and basically walk across the road.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And then for Vegas, what we're looking at the moment is Edinburgh to New York and New York, Vegas.
Yeah.
I think that's United actually.
Yeah, when I fly.
You can't fly to Chicago?
Sorry?
You can't fly from London to Chicago and then go to Las Vegas, because that would be shorter than flying into New York, and their customs is a whole lot easier to get through into Chicago.
But then we'd have to fly to London first.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he's in Scotland.
Oh, you're in Scotland. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got direct flights.
I fly from London straight to Vegas.
Yeah, Scotland flies into Ohio.
No.
You can go to Ohio and then change flights to Southwest and get it way cheaper, because from Ohio it is $106 one way. So $106 times 2 is a whole lot better than flying all the way from Scotland to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting them at the moment. We're getting them for about £470.
Yeah, the travel is so inexpensive right now. I got
ridiculous.
I have to go.
$49. I have to go to fly to Vegas. I'm like, wow. Sure.
I have to go to Miami in August, and that flight costs $52. The first lower than $100 flight round trip that I've ever had.
On what airline?
Spirit or Frontier, one of the cheaper ones. So, but see, I'm in Atlanta. I'm in a big hub now, so I can fly anywhere pretty cheap. So, I'm not going to complain about that. It's, I don't mind the hour drive to the airport as long as it's I can get. I don't like switching planes very much. When I lived in Oklahoma City, it took at least 8 hours to get anywhere, because you had to go from a regional to a regional before you could go to the big stops. So now that I'm in Atlanta, I can just go anywhere on one flight. So like LA was a 4-hour flight. It was okay, except for the mask. So do you guys have any lingering questions for Marina?
Yeah, because we have this 2-hour block that we set for this live hangout, and we're almost at the end of it.
Yeah, we got 3 minutes.
Time does go by.
Yeah. No. Well, we kind of talked about it. We're like, should we set some sort of guidelines, what we're going to be doing? And then we decided that's exactly what most people are going to be talking about.
Yeah, if you've heard any of our podcasts, you know that I am not very organized, and I'll just talk about
it's not so much the organized, but in this case, this is a virtual convention, and we're literally talking about all the has-beens, because at this point, nobody knows what's going to happen.
There's nothing new to talk about, and it's kind of sad. I mean, I got so used to like new Star Trek at every convention, for like 2 or 3 years when Discovery came out, and then Picard, and now I'm like, where's my new Star Trek?
Well, at least we know that it's still.
May, wait.
You got disguise on.
That's
okay.
That's a perfect disguise. Yes. But it's just I know that they are in post-production. At least that's we know that for sure, because we've heard it from I kind of hate that expression from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
But we have heard from the folks who are from the creatives that it is happening. It's just a matter of waiting until they finish, because obviously everything is taking longer since they're not working from one centralized location. Everybody's working from home.
Yeah, I've got a friend in the industry, and he said that they may start going back in July. So
like the
fingers
actual
crossed.
Okay.
Back to work in July. So that'll be.
So when is the next ShoreLeave podcast, so I can go over and read the directions on how to get myself on there?
Well, we're going to republish the Facebook Live that we did. So I'm working on that right now. This will be zipped up and published as well. But the next episode, I don't know. We haven't set that up. I wanted to get this done first, because this was stressing me out, because I don't like being on camera. But so the next one, probably within the next couple of weeks. We have to get a hold of a guest who has made an offer to show up. So if that works out, I will be very excited, and we'll be on there. But we do probably at some point, Marina, need to think about doing more live stuff. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, because at this point it's kind of, it becomes a little bit more
intimate.
Yeah, exactly. Because until something starts happening in an official sense, with some sort of events, I mean, everybody just has access to the virtual thing. So at least, maybe we can share something as far as what people have experienced in regards to online live.
Yeah, like we have to be cognizant of everybody else that's doing something out there. So like, what is May doing?
It's like we're getting a little show. Oh, it's one of those. Oh, it's the Saru collectible. Remember?
Yes.
Doug actually had them at his table.
She's so quiet, but she's so good for a laugh. Thanks, May. But yeah, we'll be putting something out. But we need to. We have to be cognizant because there's so much content out there that I don't want to drown in it. I don't want us to get kind of. We don't have that many listeners. So
it's not so much listeners as that there is a limitation to content because we are a podcast about conventions, and let's face it, conventions are just not happening.
So we're being very creative with our schedule here. So
is your picture falling down behind you?
What's that?
Maria, is your picture falling down? It looks a little lopsided.
No, it's because I'm sitting with the corner behind me. It's actually
right. Yeah,
it is the right up. Yeah, I mean, I can try and push the edge down.
Has it sort of slipped or something?
She's got only so much real estate in that room.
No, it's very artsy. I have angles happening around me.
No, I was just thinking it was going to fall on your head if it's slightly.
Oh, the way I had it originally, and I mentioned it earlier. The way I had it, I'm like, if I do it this way, and then the whole thing just went and hit me in the back of the head, I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Hey, that would be awesome to catch on camera.
Well, speaking of cameras, Jesse, if you're used to getting on camera, feel free to come on the Spock the Week sometime. Same for you, Marina, if you like.
Which one?
Spock the Week. The podcast that
do I know about that one?
That's what Gregor was telling. Remember we had a discussion what everybody's doing now that we'll have done.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure.
We had a child.
Oh, there's one.
This is Uhura.
Cute.
Uhura.
Well, I will join any podcast because I do enjoy it. So and Marina and I we're getting used to it. We're like, I'm gonna stop saying that we're new at it anymore since it's been 2 years. But
well, we're good at talking. Let's put it.
We are good at talking.
That part we got covered.
All right, guys. Well, I don't know if we're supposed to end on time, but we should.
Yeah, and it's wonderful that so many people hung out. And thank you, Michael.
Guys.
I mean, it must be very late.
Take care. See you soon.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll be back.
See you at the next one.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.